in life, there's basically two things: what I want and what God wants. Of course, the greatest way we could live life is that what I want but coincides with what God wants. Now, that might mean, in one direction, that what I want, oh, wonderful, God wants it too. Or the other direction, what God wants, I align myself with, and I want it too. The question, though, is there something that you could want that is your want, your desire, and that also aligns with God? But it starts with your desire. Of course, we understand aligning our desire with God, but is there a notion of God's desire being aligned with ours? What would that desire be then? Welcome to Tanya Today. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zurich and Kadeshim in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. We conclude today chapter 50, which brings a conclusion from chapters 41 to chapters 50 inclusive of different paths, different methodologies on how we can have the love and reverence, fear, awe of God, and different types that we can introduce into our lives. So till chapter 50, love was primarily one of a natural form of love, the soul's natural connection to God. And you just, further develop it. It's metaphorically like water, calming waters, the connection that we're familiar with, like family relations that are comfortable. But in our chapter, we're speaking about a different type of love. It's a fiery one. It has a great passion to it. Such passion that you're lovesick for God. How do you reach that? Is through understanding how infinite, how great God is, and how small we are, and appreciating the distance, and wanting, because of the distance, to bridge the gap, to bond and to connect. That creates a rapturous love, a fiery, passionate love to connect. It's not inherently there. We have to develop it. We have to work on it. There's a story with the Alter Rebbe when he was probably 16, 17 years old, our teacher, when he came to the Maggid, his teacher, the Maggid of Mezrich, of Dov Ber. So his teacher set him up with his son that they should study together. And one day in their studies of Hasidic teachings, they got so engaged, so passionate, so much that the soul was yearning for that connection beyond itself. It was like the flame took off from the wick. Their soul was about to depart. That's how the rapturous connection was at that moment. The Alter Rebbe took a bagel with butter, ate it, and it grounded him. And it grounded him. Came back to earth. Came back to earth, yes. So, Who desires this rapturous love? My soul wants it. My soul desires it. Right? But what does God want? Does he want the soul to leave in that rapturous love? No. He wants us to return to the groundedness of this world. And this is what it says in Sefer Yetzirah. If your heart hastens, brings you to the lofty heights, that the flame of your soul is about to leave the wick, the body, return to one. From that craving of your soul, that rapturous love, kalois hanefesh, that you're ready to expire, to embrace God, the giver of life, to leave the confinements of the corporeal physical world and attach yourself to God. That's what you want, or your divine soul wants, right? Your divine soul, that's what it wants. You got to be deliberate now and return to one, the oneness of God, the oneness of God in this world, to bring the oneness of God into this world and not leave the world. This then is what our sages say in the Ethics of Our Fathers, Pirkei Avos, this last week's, or in chapter 4, says, despite yourself, you must live, right? Simple meaning means, doesn't matter what you want, you got to live, right? Even though you may not want to, you got to live, right? Well, on a deeper level, it means despite your desire of the soul for kalois hanefesh, expiry of the soul, that the flame of your soul should leave the wick of the body. That's what your soul is experiencing. That's where you're at. Nevertheless, remain alive against your will. Against your will, you're living because your soul, that's not what it wants. Now, of course, to reach that level of your soul is a very, right? Not that someone who wants to give up their lives because their life they feel is worthless. And what's the point to live? It's too painful. No, this is ecstasy. This is ecstasy. And not from a drug, but from the appreciation, the awareness, the meditation about God that brings the soul to that. So you keep the body alive for the purpose of drawing down the life force of God into this world. Through, of course, studying Torah here and doing the mitzvahs down here in the physical world. And by that, what do? We create a dwelling place for what God desires us for, to create a dwelling place where he will be comfortable in this physical world, which that is the ultimate intent of creation, of why the soul came down into this world to begin with. The soul is bound up with God, doesn't need to come over here, but the soul comes here. It doesn't lose its rapturous love that it has. Well, it has only because you brought it and developed it, right? As opposed to the inherent love that's there. It's not a rapturous, passionate love. This one is. So when you reveal that, then you come back to one, you come back against your will, you live, meaning against the soul's desire. You come down and make a dwelling place for God in this world through your Torah study, through your mitzvahs that you do in this world, and reveal God's oneness in this world. And that explains what the Zohar says, that will be one in one, meaning the unity which is hidden, one of the higher spiritual world or level, shall become the aspect of in the revealed world of oneness here. Others in the higher worlds, God is one. But we need to achieve that in this low world where God is hidden. Right? And this is the meaning that we say every Friday night when we sing the hymn, L'cha Doidi, Lechadaydi likras kahala Pene Shabbos nikabela, which we will sing tonight. Come, my beloved, to meet the bride, the Kala. So the word Kala actually comes from the word Kalois, meaning the end of the soul, meaning the longing of the soul that it's coming to an end, right? In its rapturous love. So metaphorically, it's about coming to your beloved in a raptured love of God where the soul is ready to expire, right? But then we bring it down and we reveal that rapturous love, that connection down here in this world. We bring it back down. So with this, then we can understand the other statement of our sages. Despite yourself, again, even against your will, you must live, and despite yourself, you must die. So despite yourself, you will live. So we understand, because we explained that, means you have to retreat. You have to come back down from that, lofty, elevated experience of the soul. And you have to come down and bring it down. But what does it mean against your will? You will die. Because once you come back down here and you do Torah mitzvahs, you know what might happen? It'll become, been there, done that. It can be routine. Why? Because you're back down in this world. You took the inspiration from up there and you brought it down, the inspiration over here, and lived it here. But after a time, it becomes dry. So against your will, you shall die, meaning go back on top of the mountain. Go back and have the Kalois HaNefesh. In other words, you're a yo-yo. The highest level in this divine service is like a yo-yo. You first had the Kalois HaNefesh, you had the wherewithal to be mindful, to be meditative, that it brought you to a rapturous yearning that the soul should expire, right? Against your will, you will then come and live. Come back down. That's not your feeling then is not to come back down and to get into the nitty-gritty of, putting on your tefillin properly. It should be between your eyes. Come on, I'm in a rapturous feeling of the connection. Or taking a couple of coins and putting it into the charity box. Your head ain't there. Yeah, bring it down there. The opposite. You're on top of the mountain, go down to the bottom and bring that godliness into a physical action. Right? Now you're down there. It's easy to get stuck. Against your will, die. Die meaning Kalois HaNefesh, your soul, bring it back to that place of that yearning, of that rapturous love. Go back up there. You're up there, bring it back down. Up and down, up and down. Divine yo-yo. That is the highest level that a person can reach. In a sense, you have the best of both worlds. You have what you want and what God wants. What you want, though, is what your divine soul wants. That's the real you. And your divine soul, what it wants is just to be in a rapturous connection where the soul is leaving the confines and restrictions of the body. The flame is leaving the flickering and it flickers out. And it's ready to do that. But then, no. God wants something. He wants me to bring this down, all the way down into the material physical world, this inspiration. To make a dwelling place for him in the physical was literally with a couple of coins that I put it into a charity box with black boxes that I'm exact about it, that it's got to be on my muscle, not over here, not over there. 7 straps over here before the wrist. Like, come on. I was just on top of the mountain and getting so Yeah, exactly. Into that minutia of little specifications of fulfillment of Jewish law, of the mitzvah in the appropriate way. Yeah. So much against, you must live, bring it down here, make that dwelling place for God in the physical material world. Don't get stuck there though. Go back up and down, up and down, like this ultimate divine yo-yo. Not easy. Easy to teach, maybe. So Patricia asked the question about, can it be repeated? Well, yeah, it has to be repeated ultimately, right? That's the idea here. Absolutely. Any questions? Any comments? David, go ahead.
So to get back up, you have to do tshuva again?
It's not tshuva. This is not about tshuva.
Okay.
It's not about tshuva.
When you come down and
This is about meditating, thinking about, how God is everything and we're nothing. Not that we're nothing so much as God is everything.
that's all.
So that's going to bring to a rapturous no. Well, there's an awe to it, of course, yes, but it brings to a rapturous love. In other words, what's happening over here? It creates a gap. There's this great gap, right? God's infinite, and I'm so small and nothing. But it creates that the soul wants to be connected to that infinite, right? It wants to leave the confines and the restrictions of the finite body, finite restrictions of this world. So it creates that longing, that desire in the soul, that rapturous love. That's the point over here. It is ascend through the awe will come to the love. Remember, love and awe are the flip side of a same coin. Okay. Okay. You're beautiful. So, folks, lots of wonderful things happening. Shalom Zocher tonight for our grandson born into this world. Say L'chaim tonight at your Shabbos table in honor of the new grandson. We're going to do Rambam, finish off with Kiddush HaChodesh in a few moments. Come join us there. And this Sunday, Monday, you're going to get an email, if you didn't get already, will be our annual Chabad Lifeline, the Drug Crisis Center that we run. Charity matching campaign that can all help out at charity.com/lifeline /Rabbi Fine if you want. In any case, we'll keep you notified about it. Okay.
You have to pick a slot.
No, that was Patricia. What you had sent was correct. Yes, my email. Okay, folks. Amazing. The journey continues. Rambam next. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you, Chabad Zurich in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the